So please get the rest of your items. We're going to start here in just a moment.
I'm going to apologize in advance because we're very staticky today, and that might happen more than once. So prepare yourselves.
Can you believe 17 Strong has been around since 2016? I'm Kathleen Flake, and I love being a part of 17 Strong. It's the best movement in town. 2022 has been a breakout year for 17 Strong. Without a doubt, we believe that a connected Hamilton is a much stronger Hamilton. For me, when we started 2022, we said to ourselves, this is going to be a banner year. This is our year to shine. We had more applicants wanting to have a microgrant than we've ever had in the past. We funded more applicants too. I think about Juneteenth. I think about corn stand jam. And I think about the Pride event. There were people everywhere. I think about Arnita Gunn, who was responsible for creating Chalk It Up art throughout Hamilton. She was able to bring people together and have a panel conversation about the uniqueness of diversity and collaboration. Our community will only be as strong as our 17 neighborhoods. So the more we can focus in on the residents to support and empower and listen to them, then we have a stronger Hamilton. And that's really what it's all about, too.
Good morning. Good morning, rock stars of our city, because you are all rock stars of our city. That video and those slides you've been watching reflect the character of Hamiltonians, reflect what we do in our city, and reflect the power of collaboration. And this celebration is one of my favorite events of the entire year. Around 10 years ago, City Council had a strategic plan, and it had like 4 pillars: economic development, transportation, technology. But that 4th pillar was a sense of place. Now those 3 prior pillars kind of morphed into some other things, but the sense of place, that pillar lives on as a result of the leader of that sense of place pillar, and that's Kathy Kling. So that pillar, sense of place, is revitalizing Hamilton, Ohio. Councilmember Susan Bond.
Thank you. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Having had the opportunity to serve on council for about 3 years, I learned very quickly about sense of place and being a part of something much bigger than all of us. We as greater than me is the slogan that we use. And a lot of people walk up and say to me, what does that mean? We as greater than me. And I just say, think about it for a minute. All of us in this room certainly have much more energy than 1 or 2 of us. And it started with 1 or 2 people, and here we are today. And I'm really proud to be a part of this. I want to thank those of you who are here, everyone who is here representing your neighborhoods. As I was checking people in, I had several people say, what neighborhood do I live in? I hope you learned something today maybe and now know which of the 17 neighborhoods you live in. And we should be very proud of that. A lot of our neighborhoods even have our own t-shirts. So hopefully from here on out you do know. I want to also welcome some of our, or all of our elected officials that are here today. I'm going to start first with State Representative Sarah Carruthers. It takes more than a community, it takes the state to make things happen too. So thank you, Sarah. And then all of our city council members, of course, Mayor Pat Moeller. And if I could have our council members stand, Vice Mayor Michael Ryan, Council Member Tim Nab, Council Member Carla Fear, Eric Coleman in the back, and Joel Lauer. Thank you all. We have a lot of other dignitaries that are in the room. I hope that you get to know them. We'll be calling people out throughout. But I, again, want to thank you all for being here. I hope you leave as energized as we all are every day that we're working to do things better for our city of Hamilton. So thank you. Pat, you want to wrap us up? Thank you.
Our next presenter, our next speaker, you cannot outwork her. You cannot outwalk her. As those of you who know her know she walks all around this city, talking to people, learning and educating. There would not be a 17 Strong without her, Kathy Klink. She's the 2022 chair of the 17 Strong Advisory Board. She's a recipient of the Day Blue Legacy Award of the Hamilton Community Foundation. Kathy Klink is primo, and she's the spirit of 17 Strong. Kathy Klink.
Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone. This is really an exhilarating time to have so many of you here in the room together, because as Susan said, you represent not just neighborhoods, but those who hold high office, and it's just great to have everyone with us today. I've been thinking about 17 Strong for a while and having the opportunity to chat with you a little bit, and I was thinking about all of you who make up what we have become. You may be the Hamilton hero that's been written up by the city. You might be a person who works in your neighborhood. Perhaps you're a micro-grant recipient. Or maybe you are a business owner or an attorney or an educator. Maybe you've been with us on Spring Clean the 17th. Maybe you've been involved with Love Your Block. It makes no difference, because we need all of you in order for 17 Strong to grow and grow and grow. And our hope today is that we might inspire you so that you take a deeper step, a stronger step into community involvement with a purpose. Let me say that again. A deeper step, a stronger step into community involvement with a purpose. I'd like to know at the end of today if that happens, because we need it to happen. I'm sure you know that 17 Strong supports and empowers residents. It's been my experience when I'm out perhaps working in a neighborhood, maybe it's a cleanup, that I get to meet new people. I get to understand their neighborhood. I get to be involved with people who I then develop a sense of trust and a relationship with. And that to me is incredibly important. And while all of that is happening, I'm having fun. So you can't beat that at all. I would like to invite you into the conversation. People have said to me, "Hey, Kathy, when do you meet? Our board meetings are open. We'd love to have you attend." I've also had people say, "I understand you have 3 standing committees. How do I get involved? May I serve on a committee?" And some have finally said to me, "I'm working in my neighborhood as hard as I can, but I'm running out of ideas. Are there other ideas, other things that you and 17 Strong might offer me so that I can do more?" And the answer to all of that is, we welcome you into the conversation. The video that you saw in the beginning did highlight some of the activities and events of last year, and they were great fun. But I'll tell you, I am really looking forward to 2023 because of the leadership of our new 17 Strong Advisory Board Chair, Kyle Cummins. I am sure he has some things up his sleeve that he's going to share with us as this year unfolds. So I want to thank you, I want to salute you, and I want to say to you that whether you know it or not, you are helping a movement grow, and that means connections. The more we have connections with one another, the stronger our community becomes. And that is, for all of us, incredibly important. Before I sit down, I want to share one other thing. You will find a table over here by the door where Mike and Cindy Dingledine are located, and some of you may have already picked up these flyers. We have a new initiative. It's called the Friends of 17 Strong. And when you have time to leaf through this flyer, you will find that this particular breakfast is supported by the Friends of 17 Strong, but a brand new inaugural event will occur this summer, Hamilton Neighborhoods Summit. Hamilton Neighborhood Summit. At your leisure, perhaps you can take this flyer home with you and go through it and say to yourself, how can I support the Friends of 17 Strong, who, by the way, has an account at the Hamilton Community Foundation? Think about it. Perhaps we'll find you joining us, and we would just love that. So thank you, and enjoy the morning.
Thank you. Can we get one more round of applause for a hero of mine, Kathleen Klink, everybody. Kathleen Klink. In the summer and fall of 2022, we had an initiative called the Hamilton Neighborhood Heroes Series, spearheaded by a Miami student and one of our favorite True West coffee baristas, Eliza Bush. This series featured Hamiltonians. Now, to be clear, we're not officially saying that these 17 are the 17 strongest of all the Hamiltonians in their neighborhood. Maybe they could be. Rather, this series invited neighbors to nominate neighbors who were caught in the act of doing something we is greater than me minded. Someone who was regularly known to possess and act on that mindset. So I would like to honor some of our Hamilton neighborhood heroes today. At the end of our presentations, we do have a small award from our friends at Inside Out Studios we'd like to give them, as well as any of our micro grant winners. Just see Peggy banging in the back after. As I call out the name of each hero, some of them couldn't be here today, but if you are here, please stand. We're gonna hold our applause for the end and recognize them at once, okay? All right. In alphabetical order, that's Bob Batterson. Bob, you here? There's Bob. We've got Jerry Bryant, Alicia Bowman of the North End neighborhood. We've got Alicia Kane of Lindenwold, Chris and Ness Cannon of Highland Park, Kim Fetzer, Enterprise Park, Taylor Frank of Downtown CBD, Rula Haresh of the New London neighborhood, Amber Smith Hubbard of the Jefferson neighborhood, Jennifer Nye of Dayton Lane, Mike Reuter, Prospect Hill, Monique Runzer, Milliken, Lauren and Ty Smallwood of Washington, Betty Taylor of the East End, Eli Wackerly of Taft Place and Governor's Hill, Andy Weltzer of German Village, and Denny Williams of Rossville. Please join me in saluting these Hamilton neighborhood heroes. Okay, thank you everyone. That feels a little better. Now, speaking of those heroes, I mentioned that these awards are by our good friends over at Inside Out Studios. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to go to Inside Out Studios and tour their workspace, but I tell you what, you'll feel like a hero walking out of there. They know how to make you feel right at home. We've got a few of those folks in the house today. I think I see Morgan Gattemeyer. I see Stephen Smith. Who else I see? There's Adam Markin. He's with the crew. Where else? I saw Evan somewhere. Where's Evan Pullman? Is Evan here? Okay. There he is. There he is. All right. There's some good heroes. There's some good friends of mine. Now, who else is here? We have one of our youngest heroes in my book in the room. Is Charlie Hurley here today? There's Charlie way in the back. Give us a wave, Charlie. You can do good for others at any age. Now, folks, there's some new folks who made the list yesterday who weren't originally planned to be on it. Everything before you, all these props, all the swag, all the fun stuff, was in the cube. And the cube was being pulled by the trailer, by the car, the truck that just wouldn't seem to start yesterday. Brandon Sarber became a hero of mine when he called the Public Works team. He got a hold of them guys over there. Lickety split, we were right back on track. Now you may see we have a few more awards this year as well. We went from 1 to 4. I'd like to propose that maybe we go in and unofficially add a 5th award just for today. It's called the 17Strong Save the Day Award. And it perpetually goes to Jim Williams, Dan Arthur, Ken Callahan, and Adam Oswald. Hello, give us a wave. Hello, there he is. Thank you very much, friends. Now, guys, I don't know if you can tell, but I would actually love nothing more than to stand here for the next hour and a half and go person by person by person and brag on all the good we is greater than me things that you do. But I do want to take this moment to focus on one person who, very unfortunately, very sadly, can't be with us here today. As many of you probably have heard by now, last Friday, Hamilton and 17 Strong, we lost one of the good guys. My friend, our friend, Jeff Jones, had, according to his wife, Christina, who's watching in at home, hi, Christina, your community loves you, we love you. He had an infectious smile. He had been coming to these 17 breakfasts from the beginning. Remember Joan? We remember him there, don't we? Here he is with his 3 boys, his beautiful family. In fact, on that morning of his passing, he had met with Sammy, right? And y'all were talking about community stuff, weren't you? Yeah. That's right. That's right. He was a great artist as well. In fact, his next appointment was to go see our friends Ian, Mackenzie Thurley, and Arnita Gunn over at the Fitness Center for more and more ways to get involved. Okay? Now, Jeff was a great photographer. This is one of my favorites. But of all the pics that Jeff took, it's got to be this selfie here. This is coming out at City Hall at the end of a 17-strong communications committee meeting. Right? Look at that smile, folks. So Jeff Jones understood and knew the power of we is greater than me. He activated it. He called it in, and he shared it with others. I want to take this one moment. Let's breathe this in. Let's mourn as a community for a moment. Our friend Jeff Jones. God bless you, Jeff. God bless you, Christina. We're here. We're with you. Jeff Jones is a hero. Let's give it a round of applause. I'm sorry, folks. I know it's early, but it had to be done. There's one more friend and hero in the room. He can help us lift it up. This is what he does. My good friend, Pastor Aaron, is here. Pastor Aaron of the Jefferson Alliance, a Freedom House. Pastor Aaron's known to do so much good stuff. Later this year, we've got the Jefferson Cup Soccer Clinic coming up, the Jefferson Neighborhood Summit. But Pastor Aaron's one of these ministers who doesn't just live so high and mighty in the kingdom that he forgets to do local good. I'm going to put him on the spot here for a minute. I know you work with a network, a team of many others, but Pastor Aaron, with a little help from City Hall and our friends at the Customer First Desk and others, how many IDs and birth certificates did you guys procure in 2022?
Freedom House, the church I pastor, got
505. All right. Thank you, Aaron. We love you. We appreciate what you do. Point is, folks, in our lifetime, there are a lot of different ways to get involved here. That slogan, we is greater than me, it's on everything. As Susan said, it's kind of easy to understand, but one thing to keep in mind here, that that we is greater than me is by no means meant to be a negation of the me. It's not to say that the me part doesn't matter. Collectivism in its own right isn't inherently good. It's only what the me's activate within themselves, their own unique talents, their gifts. Then we got something. Then we can build that shining city on a hill that full of pride, prosperity, and hopefully peace. All right, friends. So I want to thank you again today, and let us honor again all our wonderful neighborhood heroes. Now, folks, one way that you can activate that me fully is to participate in the programs that we have to offer. Did you know, by the way, we have a whole series, our micro grant, our nano grant, and our sponsorship grant program. That's a good way to activate your unique and special gifts towards the collective good of the whole. To tell us more about this, give us a year in review summary, please join me in welcoming Peggy Bangy to the stage.
Thank you. Is that good? Can you hear me okay? I'm on my toes. That's a little much. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, David, for the introduction. Before I even get started, we have a microgrant committee that is here today, and I think most of them, if you would please stand so we can all give you a round of applause. The microgrant committee. I always say the microgrant committee is the hardest working of the three. I'm very partial, but they do work so many months out of the year, so thank you so much for coming today. Okay. Many of you know what a microgrant is. A lot of you have been awarded them before, but I just want you to know what a microgrant is. It's a project, it's a program, or it's an event, and it promotes citizen engagement, neighborhood beautification, or safety within Hamilton or your neighborhood. An applicant for a microgrant must be a Hamilton resident, and they must live within one of our 17 neighborhoods. Microgrant started, and I just learned this, back in May of 2016. We have given hundreds and thousands of dollars in microgrants have been awarded to our residents within Hamilton. In 2022, we were able to award 10 traditional grants and 5 sponsorship grants. Like Kathy said earlier, it was the biggest year of microgrant applicants, so we were thrilled to be able to support 15 of them. Many grants are citywide, and many grants are focused within the neighborhood. I'd like for everyone that had a traditional grant that was awarded this year, I'm going to call your name. If you will stand up, and then if you can hold your applause until the end. Second annual Hamilton Juneteenth celebration, Candace White and Alonzo Wells. Clean Compost, Cole Coomer and Jeff Gambrell. Berry End, which was in the Jefferson neighborhood, Vicki Cross and Bobby Radden. Chalk It Up Hamilton, downtown event, Arnita Gunn and Emmy Gunn. Chips Experience Hamilton Tour, Brittany Chapman and Jean Pope. Dayton Lane Promenade, Trolleys and Bicycles, led by Jennifer Albinas and Diane Combs. Defeating Period Poverty was led by Hamilton City School staff Megan Miller and Tracy Henneke. Hamilton Through the Looking Glass was a downtown event led by downtown residents Ton Ebner and Barkley Simpson. Youth Expo and Community Fee was led by Jermaine Summerhour and Timothy Jones. Station 7 Revival was led by Gabby Roach and Jessica Crossan, and this was an event in the East End neighborhood. Thank you very much. Good to go. Okay, the next project I want to talk about, this was something that was new this year. It's not a microgrant, it's not a Love Your Block. It's called Neighbors Helping Neighbors. This was a great event, and it just shows what We Is Greater Than Me is all about. I had a new London resident, and actually she's here today, Michelle. She reached out to the Department of Neighborhoods, and she had a neighbor in the New London neighborhood that had contracted COVID and also had the residual effects. So she was a very sick neighbor. She could not keep up with the work that needed to be done in her backyard and also the front and the side of her home. So Michelle reached out to us. We organized a group of volunteers, whether they were city employees, neighbors, relatives, friends of 17Strong, and we gathered on a Sunday morning. We gathered from 8 to 12, we worked 4 hours, and this is a before picture. You can see we actually could not even mow the backyard. It was a bush hog that we used, and the picture on your right is the before picture, and on the left is the after. That is her backyard. We worked 4 hours with 20 plus volunteers. This is one of the sides of her home. You can see we did trimming of the bushes. We actually got rid of the one bush right there in the middle, and it just made such a difference. And the homeowner actually came out and she was helping us as much as she could. She was so appreciative, a very proud person. It took us probably about a month to convince her that we wanted to help. So the highlight, probably this event was a highlight for all of us for 2022. These are the group of volunteers. The biggest volunteer that we have is called the Cube. That's our workshop on wheels. It goes to every cleanup, it goes to every event with us. It's part of us. So this is a group of several volunteers, and it just was a really great day. Very humbling. Okay, right now I'd like to introduce Jermaine Summerhour. He was a microgrant recipient for Youth Expo and Community Feed. Welcome, Jermaine.
Wow. Good evening. And I would like to thank everybody for coming out. Most importantly, I'd like to thank the Creator for waking everybody up this morning and making it able for us to be here. Without Him, there is no us. And without us, there is no community. And without community, people don't get the substance and the nourishment that they need to create a better life and for a better soul for themselves. So within that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And I hope to see you again. And may the Creator wake us up again to do better things for His service. Not for ours, but for His. So this is why we live and try to do things. I'm a recipient for the 17th grant. The name of the foundation that I work through is called For the Community, by the Community. What that means is that the things that we do, we try to help the community in many different shapes and ways and forms and fashion. By the community means that residents that live and grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, help and give back in such various ways as their time, effort, and things that they do for a profession. So, I've been doing this for over 8 years, feeding the community for free, having doctors, lawyers, petitioners to come out and see about the people in Second Ward in Hamilton and abroad. People don't pay nothing. All the services are free. Doctors give their time and effort to give to the community to help people who don't like coming to doctors, who may be scared to talk to psychiatrists and whatnot. So I bring those people to the community to help those people. Why? Because I'm a recipient of Hamilton. Why not? If you're a Hamiltonian, why not help the people that you see that are in need? So this is the idea, the concept that for the community, by the community. So everyone here, the next event that I have, I would like for you to come out, help, lend a hand, give an idea. That's where it spawns from, an idea. That's the whole concept. I had an event that was called Help the Kids. And what I did was grab a whole bunch of people who I knew. I ride motorcycles, right? I love it. But also I love baseball, I love soccer, I love football. So, and also I know people who like to cook and eat. So I asked my friends, hey, let's do something for the community and the kids. Came back, asked Mayor. Mayor was like, hey, that's a good idea, we're gonna do that, let's go. One thing I forgot was when I planned the date, I didn't know that it was a major event that was going on that day. But nevertheless, I made plan, but God is the better plan. Put this event on. I had 47 motorcycles show up. I had 10 lowriders, West Side lowriders from out of Hamilton. I had 5 Jeeps. I had 17 slingshots show up. I had 14 different motorcycle clubs show up, from Christian motorcycle clubs and various. I had 9 doctors, 3 lawyers, 2 therapists, 3 psychiatrists that showed up to help the benefit and welfare of the community. Also, I had 17 Strong Amir Moeller and my micro grant specialist that helped me with the grant showed up. I had my team there. The team played basketball. Kids ran obstacle courses. I had trophies and awards. DJ was there, bouncy house, snow cones. The whole works for the community and kids. So this is the thing that I would hope that I can continue to do with the help of the community and with the help of 17 Strong. And by the way, is there a 17 Strong representative in the house? With this award that I would like to present to 17 Strong, this award means that everyone who comes out, participate, and gives within a certain amount that helps move a project along. And this is what 17 Strong helped me do. They helped me move this project along, so I thought that it was only befitting that they win an award on behalf of my group and friends and colleagues, that we give them, for the community, by the community, a major contribution from 17 Strong, because your generosity and our event made the success of July 2022. I would like to present this award to 17 Strong. And like I said, be on the lookout for the logo or the hearing of for the community, by the community. And again, I'm a Hamiltonian, and my name is Jermaine Summerhour. I know the last name is like, what? Where did that come from? Right? Literally, my last name, there's only 3 people in this neighborhood with my last name, and those are my family. My family comes from Trinidad, Tobago, right? That's where my grandfather came from. He came from there to Louisiana. My mom met my dad overseas. So there's literally only 217 people in the United States with my last name. And I know 150 of them. No, I'm serious. I know 150 of my generation of my people with my last name. And that's and I'm thankful of that. But also, could you imagine just going to school and you're the only 3 people with your name? Me and my 2 brothers, that was it. And they're like, what? Yeah, I know. So again, names, bringing people together, and I hope to see you so we can bring more people together. And again, I thank you.
Thank you, Jermaine. The next group of microgrants we're going to recognize is the sponsorship microgrants that we awarded this year. We actually had 5. And a sponsorship grant, we had so many microgrants that were awarded this year, and the sponsorships that we had were probably ones that had been awarded money before, but we value that particular microgrant, so we want to do something for them. So we had 5 sponsorship microgrants. Again, I'm going to call out your name, and if you will stand and then hold your applause until the end. The first one is Corn Stand Jam Outreach, Shauna Smith and Monique Runzer. Back to School Block Party, which actually was in the Washington neighborhood but served several of the surrounding neighborhoods. That's Kenna Irvin and Patty Harding. The 7th Annual Crafts, Critters, Cruise In, and Car Show was held downtown again, and the leads on that project, Janet and Steve Hickman. Hamilton, Ohio Pride was held downtown at Markham Park, Taylor Stone Welch and Jen Gephardt. One City, One Book, a citywide event, Helen Motley and Honey Cohen. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to bring up to the stage Monique Runzer. She received a sponsorship grant, and she was a Corn Stand Jam outreach recipient.
Hi, everybody. My name is Monique Runzer. Most people know me as Mo. I live in Milliken, and I love it. This is my really good friend, Shauna Noble-Smith. She's also a Corn Stand Jam volunteer. And before I get started, I want to acknowledge the table of Corn Stand Jam volunteers right there. If you guys could stand up and just wave, it'd be cool. Come on. It's early for our group. It's early morning. I brought a script because there's so much I want to make sure I go through. I'll stay within my 2 minutes, I hope. So don't think it's funny, but I am going to do it. So, as I said, my name is Monique Runzer, and I am here representing Corn Stand Jam. We are a Hamilton-based, all-volunteer group that has members as young as 6 years old going up to 70 plus, coming from very diverse backgrounds. Our focus is on tearing down the stigma around discussing mental health issues and suicide prevention, and raising money for those in need, and also organizations that focus in these areas. We raise money that is donated to local high school students in the form of scholarships, mental health research organizations such as the Brain and Behavioral Research Foundation, and to a variety of local nonprofits. We provide resources at many of our events for those in need of support, either be it for themselves or someone they care for. We are most known for our large event each fall at River's Edge called Corn Stand Jam, where we have multiple bands playing all day and evening, amazing food, super cool kids zone area, live artist demos, silent auction raffles, and so much more. Last year, we were even able to end our event with an amazing fireworks display from Rosie's, which Kat, right there, raise your hand, helped us pull off. And the city letting us do it, thank you. Our fall event is free to everyone, so the way that we cover our hard costs is through sponsorships and the sale of items during the show itself. It's all about getting word out about our event and attracting attendees and potential sponsors. I want to give a huge shout out to Tommy Long with Lemon Grenade that helps with our marketing materials each year. And many of you know marketing can be very expensive. You could spend a lot of money boosting social media posts with the hope that you'll capture potential attendees at the right place and the right time, but nothing, and I mean nothing, works better than word of mouth advertising. So we propose starting to do smaller spin-off events throughout the year leading up to our big event to reach influencers. These events are centered around the interests and hobbies of our volunteers with the goal of not only having a great time, but piquing the interest of people within Hamilton and the surrounding areas that might not know about the Corn Stand Jam. This has proven to be a very successful strategy. Example of our spin-off events are cornhole tournaments at Casual Pint, Anne Marie's in the house, I'm here, a movie in the park night at Markham Park, motorcycle bike run, first time we've ever done one of those with the Grub Pub, and we also did an old school block party with Lounge 24 where we closed off the street, set up a band, and fed hundreds of people. So much fun. Last year we added something super unique to this area, which was a disc golf tournament at Milliken Woods. The Corn Stand Jam Disc Jam was held on July 9th at the Cyrus Furman Milliken Mile. And Cyrus, the guy that actually laid out the course, attended our event, which was super cool. We had 85 people play in our tournament, many of them from outside of Hamilton. While we were planning that event, we saw the call to action for the microgrant submissions from 17Strong. My good friend and fellow Corn Stand Jam volunteer, Shauna Noble-Smith, wrote up our proposal and submitted it, and we were selected. We thought long and hard about how to best use the funds and landed on t-shirts for our volunteer group, which I'm modeling for you today, and so are some of my friends, for everyone that was volunteering to work the disc jam that day. And so why t-shirts? Well, they live on. Not only do we have a professional look at the event, people still wear them to this day. We had them printed here locally at Unsung, so those dollars awarded to our group not only benefited us, but a very cool local independent business. The date of this year's Corn Stand Jam is September 23rd, and we are already in the planning phase of the spin-off events for this year. And did I mention that we have a children's book now featuring Corn Stand Jam, a signature scent candle from Petals and Wicks, and our very own craft beer brewed locally by municipal brewers called the Corn Stand Jam Cream Ale. We can't thank 17 Strong enough for awarding us one of the micro grants and for inviting us to join in with the many awesome individuals that make up the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Next, I'd like to introduce Sue Head. She is a past microgrant chairperson for us, and now she is the 2023 17 Strong Advisory Board Vice Chair. Sue is going to speak about the nanogrant projects. Sue?
It's an honor and a privilege to talk to you today about the 17 Strong Nanogrant Program. 3 years and 2 nanogrant cycles later, I can honestly say that this program has changed lives and has been a great learning and philanthropic opportunity for the students in our community. This is the dictionary definition of a nanogrant: a small, simple, ideal name that suggests small bouts of financial support, and in our case, awarded to elementary students. More than this, though, the nanogrants have become about the people involved in the process, such as the 17 Strong Advisory Board members, the nanogrant committee, or team as I like to say, the elementary schools that are involved, the willing principals, the teachers, and the students. So how did this all come about? Well, advisory board members attended a meeting of the Covington, Kentucky Neighborhoods Group in 2017, where they learned that young folks could be instrumental in generating community ideas. And so in 2019, 17 Strong developed a nanogrant committee who structured the program to mirror the microgrant process, complete with an application, including a budget, as well as a rubric for scoring. They allocated $2,000 to be divided over 4 nanogrants at $500 each, and determined that these grants would be offered to 6th grade students in the Hamilton City School District. In 2020, the committee chose a school, a willing principal, enthusiastic teachers, and creative, caring students to be the first to receive the nanogrants. So how the process works is, once these things are in place, the school is chosen and so on, the nanogrant team meets with the principal and teachers to put together a plan to initiate the process with the following objectives in mind: to introduce the students to 17 Strong, to introduce students to the grant writing process, to allow students to learn about their neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods, to give students the history of their neighborhoods, and to get the students to think of ways that they can make their neighborhoods better. So the first year for the nanogrant program was in 2020, and 6th graders at Highland Elementary were chosen. The 4 nanogrant finalists were Crosswalk on Franklin and Millville Avenues, the volleyball court at Jim Grimm Park, care packages for the homeless, and the Highland Green Team. And just the titles of those nanogrants let you know how awesome these kids were to even think of these projects, and they've all come to fruition at this point. So the second year for the nanogrant program was in 2022. And at that point, the nanogrant team decided that the 5th graders instead would be a better choice, because the grants could be chosen in the spring, and then they could be put to work in the fall of the following school year when the students are 6th graders. And so that model has worked much better. So in 2022, the 5th graders at Riverview Elementary were chosen, and those 4 nanogrant finalists were We Wish You Well, Helping the Homeless, Blessing Box, and Jefferson Park Picnic Tables. And once again, if you look at the titles of those nanogrants, you can see how altruistic the kids are, and thoughtful, and really, care about their neighborhoods. So we are now in the 3rd year of the nanogrant program, and the nanogrant team is looking forward and very excited to realize the enthusiastic ideas that will come this year from the 5th graders at Ridgeway Elementary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sue. The next subject on my agenda is Love Your Block. Many of you know about that project also. I just wanted to let you know what Love Your Block is. It's a program that's designed to encourage 3 to 4 homeowners in close proximity to make outside home improvements using our microgrant money. The improvements that we do normally have to be seen from the street, so we're talking the front of a home and the 2 sides. In 2022, we were able to award 2 groups of Love Your Block neighborhoods. One was in the north end. It was North 7th Street. We had 3 homes. And in the Riverview neighborhood on Walnut Street, we had 3 homes. I'm just going to go through some of the pictures of the before and after so you can really see what is done. We had approximately 20 volunteers at both of these Love Your Block events. They're work days that we spent usually from about 8 to 12 or 8 to 1 p.m. working together. This particular house, we did wrought iron painting, we do rock that was laid at that particular home, and also landscaping. The next one, this is one of my favorites. This is a homeowner that we painted we stained the lattice on her side deck. We painted the white front door, and if you see the red, she had it to her front door. She also had it from the side door. We didn't have enough time to paint the whole sidewalk, so after we left the paint and the brushes, and she finished it for us. The next one is on Walnut Street also. We painted the bottom apron of the home brown. Also, she had a fence put up, but it was not stained yet. So the Hamilton High athletes stained that for us that day. We also did a lot of moving of rose bushes and mulching. These are all of our volunteers. You'll always see the cube in the picture. He never misses a beat. He's always with us. This was our other group of Love Your Block, 3 homes over on North 7th Street. We did painting of shutters and lots of debris cleanup and some bush trimming there. This one I think was really great to see because we took the before picture, and by the time we came back to work, the homeowner, one of her relatives, had painted the 2nd story. I didn't even think it was the same house. So it looks great. We did a lot of planting bushes there and also cleaning up of her yard. The 3rd house that we did, this gentleman lost his wife a couple of years ago, and his daughter and her kids were living with him. So we did mainly power washing here. Chris Cannell was one of our volunteers, and he and Jacob Stone were power washer extraordinaires. They did the side of the house, they did sidewalks, they did the awnings on the doors, and then also we laid rock along the side of the house and pulled out all the weeds. Again, this is our group of volunteers. The one up high is my boss and coworker Brandon Sarber. He's the only one that normally will go that high on a ladder, and he painted all the shutters on the 2nd floor. Love Your Block 2023. We're gonna have 2 rounds this year. Last year we just had 1 round. We'll have one in the spring and one in the fall. The Love Your Block will open up on March 24th. We will have the same type of projects. We want 2 3 to 4 home projects for each Love Your Block. So that's 6 for the spring and 6 for the fall as far as homes. Again, they have to be in close proximity. If you're gonna make a difference in the neighborhood, they need to be close together. Improvements that we'll do will be painting, we do planting, we do power washing, mulching, just anything that we can do to make the outside of the home look better. And then you ask, why apply for a grant, whether it's a micro grant or a Love Your Block? Mine is, why would you not ask? It's money, it's grant money that we need to use. Put your great neighborhood city improvement ideas to work, fill out the application and submit it today. And yes, today, because it's open as of right now. So the micro grants are open. You can go on our website and you can go ahead and download the application, and I'll give you the website information in just a minute. Here it is, learn more, 17stronghamilton.org. Right now, I'd like to bring to the podium my friend and coworker, Sarah Silva, to introduce our keynote speaker. Sarah.
I want to be PB when I grow up. All right, here I go. All right. Well, thanks for the introduction, Peggy. My name is Sarah Silva, and I'm honored to share this moment in time with so many of my like-hearted Hamiltonian friends. I assure you, you have not been invited here today by accident. I assure you, you are here because we is much greater than little old me. It is my privilege to share a few words about our guest speaker, Mr. Ty Smallwood. Ty is a strong community advocate for the 17Strong We is Greater Than Me movement. Ty is a lifelong Hamiltonian and a 2004 graduate of the Hamilton High School. Ty currently serves as the principal here at the Hamilton Freshman Campus. The really cool thing about the Freshman Campus is this is the very first time that all of our Hamilton students come together under one roof in one building. Throughout Ty's career in education, he has rallied and stood alongside our Hamilton youth to engage in community-based learning projects. During his short time here at the Freshman Campus, he has created a diverse student action team called the One Hamilton 17Strong. Ty is the proud father of two really cool kiddos, Kaizen and Kiera, but he's the lucky husband of a powerhouse, Hamilton powerhouse, Miss Lauren Smallwood. It's been said that both of Ty's children and Lauren's children, their first words were Mama, Dada, and Billy Yank. Lauren and Ty Smallwood are also the co-founders of the Hamilton Flea, which has been a huge success for all of our Hamilton community, but also made Hamilton a Saturday morning destination for many of our neighboring cities. Thank you both. Ty continues to be inspired by the voices, the passion, and the action of both Hamilton students and his teammates when they are given the opportunities to lead in our community. Ty is motivated to continue to empower both students and his peers to dream big while making Hamilton a better place to live, work, and play for all of us. It is my great honor, and with much excitement, that I introduce to you my friend, my former boss, and the real H-Town Hamilton neighborhood hero, Mr. Ty Smallwood.
All right, first and foremost, there was no explanation of that picture. They just poached my Facebook. I did the AI challenge thing, and I do not want to be an astronaut or anything. Thank you to all of you guys for embarrassing me in front of 200 people. All right, so I am doing a Prezi, and if you have not taken your Dramamine this morning, it does move around a little bit. All right, so loading. So I talked to the students about this presentation, and they said, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "Well, I don't think so. I know a lot of people in this room. It's such an exciting event. I've always attended as a patron of this great breakfast, so I was able to eat and kind of listen to all the great ideas." And they said, "Well, who's going to be there?" I said, "Well, there's going to be my boss, Mr. Holbrook, will be there. Okay, there'll be local politicians. I'm getting a little more nervous. My grandmother will be here. My mom," and then I started getting real nervous. So I think the introduction pretty much said it all, but I might need some technical help with the tab here. Okay. All right, so when I think about all the stories of this event, I always leave this breakfast every single year inspired because it is the really unique event in the sense that all 17 neighborhoods come together to celebrate the projects that happen in our community. And whether that's in the Washington neighborhood, Riverview, wherever it may be, this is the event where we get to celebrate all of those things becoming one. So just briefly a little bit about myself. I'm a lifelong Hamiltonian. I grew up in the Armandale. Oh, I got some tech help here. Jacob Stone, everyone. I grew up in Armandale on Azle Avenue, grew in Prospect Hill, and then in my teen years I was in Washington. And as you see from every West Side Little League baseball player wants to play professional baseball. So my entire life aspiration was to become a professional baseball player. But at 5'9" and a soaking wet 135 pounds, that might not have worked out for me. But as I went through school, I cared deeply about Hamilton. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm probably annoying. I talk about Hamilton a lot. All the speakers here have resonated with me on that end. My junior year, I never thought about going to college. Baseball was the dream. And so my junior year, I had pretty good grades thanks to my mother. My mother had a saying. She said, A stands for average, B stands for bad, C stands for conference, D stands for death, and F stands for the only time your Christian mother may or may not say the F word. So I had straight A's because I was scared of my mom. And, so that was something I did. I ended up being in honors classes, and when we would go around to share what our career aspirations were, I didn't really think of college as an option for me. My family benefited from what Hamilton had to offer. So, most of my family, Hamiltucky has kind of grown to have a stigma, but I see some pride in that because my family came here and they benefited from the work in the factories that took place. And so I saw myself kind of in that vein. I had one teacher, J.D. Simpson. He is recently retired. And he pulled me to the side one day, and he had this intent look about him. He kind of cornered me, honestly, so I was like, ooh. And he said, you are going to be an English teacher. And I was like, okay. I really, honestly, it was just an afterthought. But that moment, that one conversation, that one person, just like many of you who have done those one thing to change someone's life, it changed the outcome of my life. I never thought about being an educator. Sorry, I do get a little emotional sometimes, I'm sorry. Before that, and he changed my life. So I get to teach next to him 5 years later. And I'm next door to J.D. Simpson teaching. And after class one day, I see this regular Joe Schmo kid. He's just average kid walking through the hall. And he corners this kid with the same intent look in his face. And he's like, you should be an English teacher. And I was like, bro, do you say that to everybody? And it really dawned on me that, the ability for educators to change a kid's life with that one conversation, just that one thing, it can change outcomes. And so what I get to do every day, it gets me up every single morning. I get to do that same thing with these kids over here. I get to pour life into them, make them think of the greatness within them. So it's a great, great profession. It allows me to take my Hamilton pride, and I get to see future Hamiltonians that are excited about Hamilton just like I am. All right, so We Is Greater Than Me movement, my journey with 17Strong really started with my wife. Like most things in my life, I kind of just tag along. In fact, for the Hamilton Flea interview, Steve's back there doing the video, he said, go ahead and do an introduction. And so my wife, eloquent, she tells this whole story about the Hamilton Flea, and everyone gave me a lot of hard time about this, but I just introduced myself. I went, hi, I'm Ty. So I look at myself as a co-founder of the Hamilton Flea, but I just basically carried stuff while my wife's business took place. But as we started the Flea, my wife started to become more involved in that initial 17Strong advisory board. And every single meeting, she would come home fired up, talking about people that you've heard today. Kathy Klink, my personal hero of mine. Uncle Frank Downey. Just people in those meetings that it was all about Hamilton. And she said, you have to meet some of these people. And so she said, I have one person in particular who's passionate about youth that's starting a program this summer. Her name was Pastor Shaquila Matthews. And she started this Hype Summer Work program. And the idea was to get students to serve their community, but also to pay them for their service in a way. And they were able to hear community speakers come in. And that first summer, I connected with Pastor Shaq. And again, that one person really changed the outcome for me when it came to how I viewed serving our community and young people. It was just such a great program. We had people stopping us in Second Ward Riverview saying, how do I get my kid involved? And there was a buzz about that. And again, it's that one person, it's that one conversation that can change things. I would like to give a shout out to Sammy Broyles for this next point. Sammy Broyles, what a great human being, by the way. So we heard about microgrants, and I really wanted to serve the Riverview community. My mom was a librarian at Harrison Elementary for over 20 years, and I was passionate about trying to serve that community. So reached out to Sammy. He put a Facebook poll out And I was expecting something different, but the entire community, the overwhelming majority said, we want Sand Park basketball court to be more presentable so that kids can feel safe playing basketball there. So we started this grant process. We started writing it together. And I said, you know what? I need at that point, the grant process, no offense guys, was really difficult to work through. It was not easy. And so I'm looking at this sheet, it's 100 signatures, and I'm like, well, here we go. So one Sunday morning, I went out to all the local churches, I gave little speeches, I started knocking on doors, and I had like 5 signatures. I got told I looked like a cop. I was walking around with my Sunday best on, and people said, I'm not signing that. So I stopped at one of my high school friends' houses. I said, I need your help. Her name is Tiff Johnson. And so we stood at U.S. Market, and again, that one person, we chopped it up for several hours. It was actually a community building thing for me, even to see some of my former classmates, and we had hundreds of signatures right away. So again, just that entry point into service, she enabled us to get this grant going, and then Sammy really took the ball from there. We really just wanted some basic basketball hoops, but the city got behind it. And you'll notice a common thread through some of these grants is it starts small. I think a Corn Stand Jam story, and it starts to be supported, it starts to get bigger, and it starts to serve community in a better way. So every time I drive by that basketball court, it's definitely a point of pride for me as that first micro grant that we worked on. So as I'm going through this process of learning about 17Strong, I really wanted to look at how we can get kids more involved in that, because I saw kids come alive in that Pastor Shack summer program. Mr. Zeri, who's here, and I had a lot of those students at Wilson. We were assistant principals. And some of those students, they're regularly suspended and those types of things. It changed the way they started to see the community. And I wanted to see that same thing happen in my role as the principal at Highland Elementary School. So we looked at what are some pain points for us as far as like kids coming into school. We looked at some research. We realized that we have pockets of our community that come into kindergarten reading. Like we have kindergartners who come to us who are ready to roll. And then we have some who have not had any preschool background, anything like that. So what we did is we used, my wife gave me a hard time about this word. It's called GIS. It's a geography software where we looked at kindergarten readiness scores on the state assessment, overlaid onto a map of the neighborhoods we serve, which I felt like is a pretty innovative approach. And what we found is there were certain streets where students were coming to us with less kindergarten readiness. So we wrote a grant called the Highland Reads Grant. Those individuals are smiling right there, but they were very mad at me. It was a cold, cold day in March, but what we did is we put together kindergarten readiness backpacks, and we just knocked on doors. We tore down the walls of the school, and we went out in the community, and we gave information about kindergarten registration. We gave them resources for fine motor skills, literacy, and gave parents the ability to understand what kindergarten readiness looks like. And in the first year, I'm proud to say, we had a 13% increase in students who are demonstrating readiness. Over 100 students, that's 13 more kids who are ready to roll in the school year. And I'd really like to shout that team out. All right, this is gonna take it down a notch. So 2019, 2020, I reached out to this committee and I said, I wanna continue to expand these opportunities, but I want kids to be involved. The Highland Reads grant was mostly done by parents and adults. And we were hoping to launch this in the spring. Riverview and Highland Elementary, they say are sister schools because they're on each side of the river. I would like to call them brother schools because it was Josh Marjoram and I. We started this process to get 6th graders to think about what type of neighborhood improvement projects that they wanted to do. Well, then this thing, I don't know if you've heard of it, called the coronavirus happened. And school, as we know it, changed, it shut down. And I put a garbage bag, I know it's a weird image to put up there, because if you're a parent or you're an educator, you know that we had to bag up every single student's materials because we went home one day and school shut down. So no one had any notice, no one had any opportunity really to gather their belongings. And as we know, that was a dark time in our nation's history, in our community's history. We had about 20% of kids come pick up their stuff, I'd say. And the rest of those bags were laid out across our cafeteria. And sorry, it's a little hard to get through. Because I saw those bags laid out in the cafeteria at Highland Elementary School. And I thought, this was taken away from us. This thing that I'm so passionate about has been stripped away. And will we ever get that back? And I made a vow to myself in that moment that we will never take for granted the opportunity we have to educate young people, to inspire them to be better, to serve our community. And looking at those trash bags across the cafeteria, I said, we're never going back to that. We are going to tear down the walls of the school when we're able to open back up, and we're going to make a difference. 2020, 2021, we started the Highland Elementary Nano Grants. And if you know anything about students after coronavirus, they were skeptical. I'm gonna be honest. I thought I could have a good sales pitch, but we had a student, one in particular, in front of all these folks. I was kind of embarrassed, to be honest. And he said, "Are we really gonna make a difference?" You know, sometimes teenagers can do that. And like, "Bah!" You know, you could give them a bar of gold and they'd be like, "Ugh." Pastor Harold and I have talked about that recently. So they were skeptical, and I think students were observing adults behaving in ways that they had never seen before. There was chaos in our world at that time. So students, when we went into this, even though we were going to forge forward and try, they were skeptical if it was going to make a difference. So what we did, over 100 sixth grade students at Highland Elementary School, they learned about their neighborhood's history. They were going to learn how to write a grant, which what a great skill to have, to be able to write a grant when you're 12 years old. And then they're going to connect with amazing humans that get things done. And that's all of you. I mean, I really think that putting students in front of doers like Kathy Klink, Uncle Frank, and just hearing those stories are really powerful. So that was the goal. We started out with them just owning their neighborhood. A lot of times you hear stigma about Hamilton from outside the community. We wanted students to take a sense of pride. Like when I say I lived on Hazel Avenue, I actually have a really strong sense of pride in the neighborhood that I grew up in. That was not always the case with the students we served. So this is a poem from the same student who made the comment, "Are we really going to make a difference?" This is a poem that I took some of the personal aspects of this out, but he talked about, just like Hamilton, Ohio, he himself has experienced trauma. He himself has gone through difficult times, and these are the words that he said. "I'm from a city stuck in the Rust Belt, left with skeletons of factories and forgotten history." Several lines later, where he compares it to his own life, he says, "I'm from a reviving city where more and more quirky and interesting attractions, murals, and restaurants pop up almost every day." And what we started to see is that students began to see their growth with the city's growth. And if you've been here long enough, you know that there's been stigma attached to Hamilton. There's been division. And what we've seen is like students are starting to own that message that they're growing along with the city. So they were pumped. And I say pumped, we got a lot of really good ideas for these nano grants. These were the 4 they awarded. The city originally, 17Strong originally said they're going to award 1. They ended up awarding 4. This is the Blessing Bag Group. This is our green team with the cube. And this is what I would call a not so nano grant. I love this picture because that young lady right there was the brains behind the operation. The other 2 guys were kind of just in the group. If you've ever been in a classroom, you know that's how it works. So she was the ones really doing the work. Those guys were like, okay. But she was motivating them every single day. And it was a Saturday morning, again, a cold Saturday morning, and the city was going to come out and do this crosswalk for a safer route to school for students. It was just such a great idea. It went way past the $500 that they were initially allotting for the grant. But the 2 boys didn't show up right away. And she's like, "We are going to their houses." And I was like, all right. So we walked to the kids' houses, and she's knocking on the door. They're not answering. And she's like, "The mayor is there! Get out of here now!" And so they did. You know, they put some clothes on and came out. And what was so cool about that project is, as we're standing there, several residents from around there came out and said, "Man, this is so needed. We've been trying to get this done for years." And because a student put their voice behind that project, there was power in that. And I started to see like, hey, if students are coming to city leaders and saying we need something, typically we'll listen because that's our future. Here are the Nano Grant winners. As you can see, COVID protocol, Mr. Holbrook. Make sure that went out on social media. We had 4 grant recipients. They did such an amazing job. I'm really proud of that project. And we had a lot of support from our teacher team there, the 6th grade team. Miss Malone in particular did a phenomenal job with that. All right, so we are changing the narrative for students. So I am now at the Hamilton High School freshman campus a year later, and this is the first time someone thought it was a good idea. It wasn't Mr. Holbrook. That we should put 715-year-olds in one building, and you're in the building right now. So you can imagine that, you know, that's an exciting job to have. So I come in knowing that Hamilton, at least when I went to school, we had 3 middle schools. There was always fireworks in those first few weeks, especially on our football team. You got GW, Garfield, Wilson, and I knew I had a tall task ahead of myself. But the students started to understand that our message was to unite the community. And so our public murals class is even doing murals all around our school about uniting Hamilton together as one, to get rid of some of those historical divisions. Because as we know, and I think it's important to name it, we have had divisions. We've had East, West. We've had historical redlining in our community that has impacted communities in different ways. And I think the future Hamiltonians that are sitting here before us are the ones that are going to carry that torch for a more inclusive Hamilton. And it's really important to me that that's our mission here at the freshman campus. So because of that, title of our group is One Hamilton 17 Strong. I think it's important again to talk about the we, but we are trying to unite everyone together under one roof. So we are the only thing in the city that I'm aware of that has a committee member from every single neighborhood. So we sent out applications. Those are our 17 neighborhoods represented in that leadership group. And I want to give a huge shout out to 17 Strong for supporting that, Mr. Holbrook. This has really been a great thing for our kids and our community. The first meeting, we have guest speakers. So in the city again, Joshua Smith, Brandon Sarber, really important people come to talk to the kids and honor their voice. Chief Buchheit, some of my personal heroes, Kathy Klink, Uncle Frank, Peggy Bangy, Sue. Like there's a lot of adults wrapping their arms around these students' voices, which is really, really cool to see. Sometimes there are surprises in those meetings where students put them on the hot seat, and I kind of love that. There was a North Hamilton crossing explanation recently, and some of our students were asking some tough questions, and I was like, all right, I think that's good. I think that's part of what makes us stronger as a community. And then the second meeting is an action meeting where we write micro grants, we talk about different projects that can occur in the community, and we've done some really cool stuff even in the first year. Mr. Sarber and I led a Hamilton tour at the end of the year. You see the cool swag from Unsung Salvage, 17 Strong t-shirts. You guys will get those, I promise. And we go all over the community because many of our students, even though you're from Washington, you may not have actually been to Lindenwold. You would be surprised how many students haven't seen different portions of our community. And 17 Strong is fun. I love this story. This is us roller skating at First Baptist Church. Joshua Smith came in talking about economic development. Do you know that we have hundreds of millions of dollars of capital investment in our community? And the 15-year-olds were like, we just want a roller rink. And I love that because it really brought it down a notch. I'm like, this is great. I'm glad we're having business move in. But the students want things to do, and they're really pushing on city leadership to think about ways that 15 to 17-year-olds can have something to do. So he promised them in that meeting that we would have a roller skate party, and he delivered. So we put on some 90s music. It was like Roundup Roller Rink all over again. We got like the Tootsie Roll. It was just a great day. Many of the students had never skated before. We had a student who was only in the country in August, and she had never been to she'd barely been in the United States and actually had the time of her life. And I want to shout out Miss Silva for teaching her how to skate that day. So we visited different landmarks in Hamilton. That's us at Markham Park. It was just a lot of fun. 22, 23, we want to level up. So no pressure, guys, but we want to level up. We had, the initial year, I had to really convince some people to join that group. So I'm like, I see that you live in the downtown business district. How would you like to be a part? You're the only kid that lives there, but I need you to be a part of this. So this was an opportunity for us to put out an application where there was actually some competition. So the individuals that you see over here were actually selected from a group of about 100 students. So 1 out of every 7 kids in this school is now interested in being part of this We versus Me movement as a leader, not even just an action team member. So it's really exciting to be able to select that group of just a diverse, awesome student body here at the freshman campus. All right, so this is no pressure to them, but it's their job to carry the banner and ignite the spark. They're probably a little nervous. We'll have three of them explain to you all why they're excited about this project. We have Eckley Bridges, Marlisha Markowski, and Jeff Phillips. Please give them like a big round of applause.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eckley Bridges. I represent the Armandale neighborhood, and the reason I came out and signed up for 17 Strong is because I wanted to help my community. I wanted to help the neighborhood that I'm going to live in, the city I'm going to live in, and the community that I live in right now. Things that I think we could help in this community I think there's a lot of things, but the things specifically in Armandale that I know I would like to see are, for one, more crosswalks. Armandale is a very populated neighborhood, and it's very dangerous. If we add more crosswalks, that would limit the danger to pedestrians walking. Two, I'd love to see more trash cans around just random places, because there's a lot of trash and litter always thrown around, and I hate seeing it. It's not good for the community, and I think the trash cans will really help. And three, Mr. Smallwood told me one day that Armandale is one of the least active neighborhoods when it comes to talking just to each other. So I would just love to see more activity in every neighborhood, not just Armandale, but every neighborhood, in our whole community. And I feel like if we talk more, this community will be one of the best communities ever. And finally, the way I see Hamilton is the place where I'm going to be for the next, just my whole life, hopefully. I mean, I have big aspirations for Hamilton. I want this to be the best place for my kids, for my wife, for my family, for everybody who lives here. And I think we can accomplish that with this group right here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marlisha Markowski. I represent the Washington neighborhood. I think I live in a very good neighborhood, but some things that I wish we had in my neighborhood was a little bit more of neighborhood togetherness. I know my neighbors personally, but some of my neighbors don't know their neighbors, and not having that bond, I feel like just doesn't help with anything. And then some other problems that I've been seeing is trash and just like things that aren't that good for my neighborhood. The reason why I wanted to be in this group was probably the first day of school. I came in and Mr. Lauer had told me about this group, what they did, and I thought it was just an amazing group to be in. I definitely want my voice to be heard as a young individual, so I think this is a very good group to start at for helping with my community. Some things I see in the future of Hamilton is definitely like more bonds with people and helping other people like get together. I think involving students with this group will help with so many things, like personally and like as a group. I have been to many of the events, like Illuminate Hamilton and the march that just happened this Saturday. And we didn't need a lot of money for that. All we needed was people, and I feel like that's what we need in this group, is like a big group of people that will come together. Thank you.
It's good, by the way, guys. All right, so I'm Jet. I'm 15. I go to this school, and I'm from the East End neighborhood. And I joined 17 Strong because I wanted to represent my neighborhood and make it a better place, obviously. So, what I see in 17 Strong this year is a year of development and growth, and like a connectivity between people to make Hamilton a city of great potential, an even better place. Like in the East End neighborhood, there's Crawford Woods, right? And I go there times and times, and there's trash there, and I feel like it'd be a much better place if we cleaned it up a little bit and just like fixed up the sidewalks and stuff because walking around is hard. But overall, Hamilton's a great place. There's lots of potential and great people. And because of that, Hamilton is the best place. And I plan to stay here for as long as I'm alive.
All right, one more round of applause for our 17 Strong speakers. And then we have 15 out of 17 neighborhoods represented today, so I'd like them to please stand and be recognized for being here this morning. All right. You guys are off the hook. All right, really briefly, I know they said 30 minutes. I've actually had High Street Cafe cater lunch now, so we're just going to sit. All right, so where we're headed. We had a staff showcase last school year, and I just submitted an idea for a presentation that I didn't know if it was going to land or not, to be honest. I just said, I think this is a really cool thing we're doing. So if the other staff are interested in joining this effort, like, come to my session. And it was like a professional development day. We had a classroom with about 25 to 30 desks, and I thought everybody was mistaken that they were in the wrong room, but we had about 50 to 70 people per session. And these are teachers that don't all live here. These are teachers who come from all over the greater Cincinnati area that heard about 17 Strong, that heard about We is Greater Than Me. They wanted to think about ways that they could take their classrooms and involve the community in a meaningful way. And I could not be more excited about the momentum, what Ridgeway is going to do, and what these students are going to do in their future, because these are our best and brightest, and they are now talking about living and raising their families in Hamilton, Ohio. And if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. We will unify our community with these youth. Thank you.
I think I had to follow Mike Dingledine last year. And I don't know about you guys, but at 14 or 15 years old, I certainly wasn't that put together. So I've met with these kids. They're amazing. Teachers bright. Unlike Jermaine, who talked earlier, who said he has a couple hundred people with his last name in the country, I've got a couple hundred people with my last name in the Lindenwald neighborhood alone. But my name's Brandon Sarver. I'm so happy to be here, and man, this fills my cup. This is just one of my favorite days of the year. I'm so glad to be sharing this with all of you. I can't go any further in talking about these yet without acknowledging the staff of the Department of Neighborhoods, you guys. I'm the boys in that Nano Grant group. These are that girl. So we've got Jacob Stone, Peggy Bainey, there's everybody else. Brooke Wells back there. You heard from Sarah Silva, David Stark, and where's Bob Patterson? There he is, Bob's right there. Yeah, so grateful to the other city directors in the house. I got the best team, guys. I'll put them up against anybody. Later I think Kyle's going to acknowledge the current board members, but I have to acknowledge some of the past board members that are in the house. Joan Stidham right here. Joan, wave to the folks. You've heard about Lauren Smallwood, who's over here. You might not know this mustachioed man from Lindenwald, but his name's Frank Downey. Is there any other past board members here before I move on, so I don't forget anybody? I think those are the ones I saw. This is our biggest and best breakfast yet, and we're standing on the shoulders of the work that the three of you really had done. I do want to get to these awards, but a couple of quick announcements. On Monday, there will be a public input session for the North Hamilton Crossing Project, which you've heard about. It's really important that everyone in the city have their voices heard at that meeting. So that's at Fairwood Elementary from 5:30 to 7:30 on Monday, January 23rd. And also, if you're feeling amped about 17 Strong like me, we want to see you at our February board meeting. It's called the Better Hamilton Neighborhood Series, and that is on February the 6th at City Hall at 6 p.m., so please show up. We're going to be having Kettering, Fort Hamilton speak at that. Sonia is somewhere. Here we go. Looking forward to it. And now to the awards. So I'm saving the biggest and best award for Kyle to present, and that is our Kathy Klink Award for Neighborhood Leadership. We have 3 brand new awards that we are awarding from the staff of the Department of Neighborhoods. These awards are up here: Nonprofit of the Year, Small Business of the Year, and Volunteer of the Year. So really, for Nonprofit of the Year, for us to kick this off, you've heard it all morning long. There's no better recipient for this award than the Hamilton City School District. So quick round of applause, Hamilton City School District. The mayor opened up talking about the Sense of Place Committee. So that goes back to 2011, 2012. And they have walked alongside us in this initiative every step of the way. Anytime we needed a meeting place in the East End neighborhood, Crawford Woods and Aaron Hopkins, or, we got you. One of our favorite microgrant programs of all time is the Art in the Park, that was initiated because Fairwood teachers were saying, we need a way to engage with our students over the summer. Robin Zeri, I see you. The people who work for Hamilton City School District, they bleed this city, and we are so grateful to be able to partner with them in so many ways, some of which I'll forget if I try to name everything, but I mean, please, city school district staff, if you're in the room, please stand up so we can recognize you. I see Katie Stark over there. Yeah, Jody Coltis. So I'd like at this time for Mr. Holbrook and maybe Councilman Lauer to come on up. Are there any members? Is Shaq in the house? I think unfortunately she wasn't able to make it, but I'd like for you guys to accept this award on behalf of the district.
I think it's evident that the influence that education can have in a community is very glaring today. One of the things when I took over this position, the first thing we did is we got together and not only built a strategic plan, but we reworded what our purpose was. And you can see that on that poster that we have hanging in every building. The first word is the most important thing. It's the word together. And I have focused in on education being more than just what goes on in the classroom. It's experiences. It's getting involved in your community. It's those learning pieces. It's becoming a part of something and having a sense of community. And those aren't just words. A couple years ago, we decided, and we're very fortunate, we were able to hire someone to help facilitate getting our students out into the community. And I want to recognize the work of Mr. Chris Cannell. Chris, would you want to stand? Part of my job is knowing what I'm strong at and what I'm not strong at. And one of the things that I recognized quickly is that Chris could go out and connect with our local businesses, our local communities, and get our students involved. And I can remember a year and a half ago, him sitting in my office and he said, we only got 4 kids involved with this. And I said to him, give this time, you've been on the job 4 weeks. And to this day, we've got over 400 students involved in some type of activity out in our school, and that continues to grow weekly and monthly. And it's all about the word together. It isn't about what necessarily goes on in an algebra classroom. It's much broader than that. And you're seeing that, and we're very blessed to have a great group of leaders in our district that embrace that concept of community work. In every board meeting, I with a smile, approve various different activities, trips, field trips, that get kids exposed, because I think experiences and exposure are as much to the educational process as what we teach in the classroom. And so we've got a lot of work to do. We're very proud of the work that we've accomplished thus far. We're very appreciative of this award. And, you know, I'm only a small piece of this. I am just grateful for the people that we have working for us, and we're going to continue to push forward with these initiatives. Thank you very much.
I grew up in this town. I've never wanted to leave here, and I'm glad I never did. I work in the greatest profession that this country has to offer. And I am in the greatest profession because of students like this here. These students work so hard. This is the first time that our community comes together, and my efforts are to continue to try and get, with Mr. Smallwood, to get our students recognized in this community throughout every neighborhood. And I see some very important figures such as Candace White, Vicki Curtis, Wayne Jarrett, and many others. I see the group from N2 over here, which is such a fun group that work on Corn Stand Jam. I hope to be able to get our students more involved with our city. Growing up, I could not have imagined growing up in any other city. To me, Hamilton, Ohio was the greatest city in the country. We had a neighborhood that was full of kids who were extremely active with many events going on that they could participate in. As a councilman, I hope to continue to promote those activities and help this city grow for our youth, as many of our students feel that they want to raise their families here. And our schools are doing a great job of trying to bring this town back. And I'm so excited for this group, the first group that comes together in the city of Hamilton, city schools. I'm so excited because this group does bring it all together, and I want to thank Ty Smallwood for putting this together. Another person I want to, Sarah Silva was a big spearhead behind this. She did a wonderful job. But one person that needs to be recognized because she tries to do as much as she can is Carlin Topping. God forbid a student forget his computer at home, but she is wonderful and very active within this program. Mr. Holbrook, we've done a great job of blending our schools with our city, and I hope that we can continue working on projects together to make sure that happens. So thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Our schools are getting better, and we are doing a great job. Thank you, guys.
All right, next is the Small Business of the Year. And part of what we've done in 17 Strong, as we've been out trying to build connections in neighborhoods, one of the activities, especially in the early years, was to really pound the pavement and have conversations. So we had kind of a script with a few questions. One of those key questions was, who's the unsung hero of the neighborhood? In no neighborhood, I can say this unequivocally, in no neighborhood was that person the same person more often than it was Tony Moore in the North End. That's Tony. The North End Market on the 900 block of Vine Street, if you know, you know. If you've been there, you know Miss Tony. There is no more community-minded small business that I'm aware of than that one, and she does it without any fanfare. She does it because of her heart for the North End community and the people that she serves. It's not uncommon to walk in there and see a jar to help out somebody in the neighborhood who's in need. It's always just the most warm place that you could enter. If you've not been to the North End Market on Vine Street, I implore all of you to go check it out. Miss Tony Moore could not be here today, but in her stead we have her niece, Brittany Moore, who's going to accept this award on her behalf, maybe say a word or two. So on behalf of Tony Moore, who I think is watching, hi Miss Tony, Small Business of the Year for 17 Strong goes to the North End Market.
She is unfortunately not able to be here. She's battling breast cancer. So I ask each and every one of you to please keep her in your prayers. My aunt is the most selfless person, and she loves the North End better than anything. She never had any children of her own, but all the people there are her kids. She's the mother of the North End. She's such a special person, and I'm so honored to call her my aunt.
if Hamilton Joe Nuxall was the favorite son of the North End, I think we have his son here in the house today, Mr. Phil Nuxall. I think Tony Moore is probably the favorite daughter of the North End. So, Tony, we honor you today. And finally, Volunteer of the Year. There's a guy's picture who you may have seen come around quite a few times in this presentation this morning. His name is Greg Bisdorf. And yeah, Uncle Greg could not be here today. He is in an out-of-town wedding, which is really ironic because Greg is everywhere. Whenever Greg is needed, he's like a superhero of civic engagement. It could be at a city council meeting, I think of the 17 cleanups that we did in 17 days last May, he may have missed one or two, not because he wanted to, because he had other things going on, but when it came to talking about starting to recognize a Volunteer of the Year, there are so many people, many of you in this room, who do great things. Volunteers are about doing things, and Greg is about the best doer any of us know in this room, so please for Greg Bisdorf. I have asked Miss Arnita Gunn, where are you, Arnita? There you are. She works with, she's a board member on 17Strong, and in the Lindenwald neighborhood does a lot of work with Greg through the protocol group, and I've asked Arnita to accept this on Greg's behalf.
On behalf of Greg, he would say, see you at the next cleanup. So thank you.
And next, for the presentation of our most esteemed honor, the Kathy Klink Award for Neighborhood Leadership, as well as providing us with a glance into the upcoming year, it's my pleasure to introduce the new chair of the 17Strong Advisory Board and a fellow son of Lindenwald, Mr. Kyle Cummins.
Thanks for the block, Jacob. Another 2 inches has me a robust 5'7". Anywho, no shame in my game. So, good morning and happy celebration breakfast, still brunch. I am Kyle Cummins. I reside currently in our Washington neighborhood, and I'm extremely honored to be chair of 17Strong. I also get the monumental task of replacing the prize jewel of 17Strong, Kathy Klink. No pressure. Now, nobody can fully replace Kathy, right? But I am extremely fortunate to have her still on the board as a mentor, right, to continue this fantastic ride we call 17Strong. Speaking of Kathy, as Brandon said, it is an honor and privilege to announce the winner of the Kathleen Klink Award for Neighborhood Leadership. This award is given annually to a Hamilton resident who works relentlessly in pursuit of building safe, clean, and engaged neighborhoods. The awarded resident does this by connecting people within and between neighborhoods while building pride, identity, and a sense of place. The award is named in honor of Kathleen Klink. Kathy, a longtime public servant, has been the quintessential neighborhoods council person. She was a key lead on council that crafted the city's 2012 strategic plan. If you haven't noticed, we kind of like Kathy. She has a citywide grassroots neighborhood organizing effort since then. I could go on and on and on. The effort formalized the city's neighborhood structure, known as 17Strong, named for Hamilton's 17 neighborhoods. From there, she oversaw the development of the resident-led 17Strong Advisory Board and was instrumental in the creation of the Department of Neighborhoods in the city of Hamilton. One more applause for Kathy Klink, please. It never gets old. Now, the following words are not from me, but are from the many people who nominated this deserving person of the Klink Award. I'll start with passion. A dedicated, very hardworking individual who has shown interest and devotion to the city of Hamilton through his work of beautifying many properties throughout the city. He has continually contributed to the growth and excellence of this city. When I see him, I see a relentless man. I have never seen a man work so physically hard at his own job and then come home only to go back out with a trash bag, walk the entire neighborhood, and pick up other people's discarded trash. Love your block. We've talked about that a lot. He has been a sponsor of Love Your Block since it began. He volunteers his time and resources for this initiative, finding joy in working alongside other volunteers to beautify grant recipients' properties in Lindenwold, Dayton Lane, North End, East End, Riverview, and Armandale, in German Village. As the current German Village Association president, he is an effective communicator and brings great integrity to the position, inspiring residents toward a common purpose of pride and unity. He facilitates open communication between community members and local police officers, lending an assured sense of safety to our Neighborhood Watch program. He has been known to say, "Hamilton is not where I grew up, but it is most definitely my home." I could not imagine a better candidate for this beloved Kathy Klink Award and to carry the mantle of Kathy's legacy. It is my honor and privilege to recognize Andy Weltzer as the 2023 recipient of the Kathy Klink Award for Neighborhood Leadership. Please join me in welcoming Andy to the stage.
All right, who blindsided me? Because you guys keep a really, really, really good secret. Whoever was involved with this. Wow, Frank, what'd you do last year when your name was called? Same thing I'm doing right now?
I'm old and I don't remember.
Wow. An award that, quite frankly, everyone in this room deserves a piece of. Everyone here deserves this more than I deserve this. It's a great city, and I am choked up right now because this is not what I do this for, and everybody who works with me knows that. You know, I'm gonna piggyback a little bit on what Ty Smallwood said in his speech. Something that grabbed me was, you know, the perception of this city from the Rust Belt, in despair, jobs leaving, and just that lack of community that kind of fell upon a lot of, you know, cities in our area. And now the perception of revitalization and hope and pride and involvement. And as I watch, you know, this organization get bigger and get more people involved, I'm proud to be a part of that. I will say one thing that I'm going to work on for this year, be a reoccurring theme in my talks, especially in German Village, is challenge your neighbors, challenge your friends to do just a little bit more in your neighborhoods, whether that's wave at somebody from your porch, saying hi, picking up a random piece of trash, showing up at somebody's doorstep, being involved in the activities in town. Just challenge everybody to do just a little more, get a little bit more involved, and get people in your neighborhood a little more involved. So, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy. And I've been on a few of those Love Your Blocks, and Andy's not just sitting in his truck, right? He's out there helping us. Thank you again. So, looking forward, I can speak on behalf of the advisory board and everybody associated with 17 Strong that we had a fantastic 2022, as evidenced by a recap video and what we've seen, heard, and felt today. We are looking forward to continuing this momentum in 2023. At this time, I would like each advisory board member to please stand up when I call your name, and we'll hold for the applause once everybody's standing, please. Newest members, Arnita Gunn and Carol Combs. Retaining members, Diana Owens, Peter Engelhard, Sarah Kraus, Angela Jarrett, and Kathy Klink. Communications Chair, Jay Kidd. Microgrant Chair, Christina Landefeld. Outreach Chair, Greg Bisdorf. And Vice Chair, Sue Hay. Thank you so much. What a crew. Can't wait to work with you all. This fall, our advisory board met at downtown Hamilton on Main Street for our annual retreat. The goal of this gathering was to share our unique ideas to make 17 Strong better for our community. It was an awesome platform for thoughtful collaboration and candid conversations. One of our tasks was to have a consistent response to people who asked, "What is 17 Strong?" Our goal was to form an elevator pitch, if you will, into something digestible and meaningful for all the folks to come by and say hello at our events. Through breakout sessions, our crew came up with the following. What is 17 Strong? Well, thank you for asking. There are 17 neighborhoods in Hamilton, and we believe that a more connected Hamilton is a stronger Hamilton. We work every day to connect people to information, resources, and to each other to build better neighborhoods. I didn't even look down. Again, connecting people to information, resources, and to each other. In strengthening this pitch, we are able to easily transfer this to our board members and our board committees, which are Communications Committee, Microgrants Committee, and Outreach Committee. Connecting people to information can be attached to our Communications Committee. Using the code name ComCom, this committee looks to have another banner year with their relentless efforts to spread the good word of we is greater than me through a variety of creative means and ways. We will continue to raise this flag for all to see. Connecting people to resources. Well, that can be attached to our Microgrant Committee, known as the Hard Hat Committee. This crew, I reiterate, had a record-setting number of applications in 2022. This year, 17 Strong is expanding our reach by adding a sponsorship level to the citywide events that have multiple years of funding and giving priority to applications with a significant neighborhood impact. Connecting people to each other. You guessed it. That would be our Outreach Committee. Known as the Fun Committee, this group looks to continue to facilitate two-way communication throughout the year with events such as Spring Clean the 17, Coffee with Council, and the Hamilton Fleet, while also collaborating with our business partners to better our neighborhoods. Also this summer, as Kathy stated, we will host an inaugural conference called the Hamilton Neighborhood Summit. This summit will bring together and connect organizational, business, educational, nonprofit, youth, government, and other leaders to foster leadership development and to collectively solve problems as a community. We can't wait. Our simple goal is to help provide a better Hamilton for everyone. We appreciate your support and are thankful for your attendance in celebrating a fantastic 2022. The sky is the limit for 2023, with our traditional backbone of values meshed with our unique ideas to make 17 Strong better. And whoever you are, you can have a role in this. You can sign up for a neighborhood cleanup. You can attend a neighborhood meeting. You can apply for a microgrant to improve your neighborhood. Or perhaps you or your organization would consider joining the Friends of 17 Strong as a community partner or sponsor. We would like to especially thank Basil 1791, manager Monica Height, and owner Dave Jursic for being Friends of 17 Strong and contributing a large donation from a live music event the night before Thanksgiving. Thank you very much for that. Way to get the ball rolling. And Kathy and I will be back there with the Friends of 17 Strong after this. We have a table in the back, also with our swag and latest free gear for you to pass out with each other. Now, enough of me already. Let's close this out with some fun. Not all of this has to be so serious. I would like to call to the stage Christina Latta Landefeld and Mary Ann Reed to send us off in style with a, and I quote here, people, boogie, woogie, licious initiative announcement. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Ann Reed, and I'm personally very inspired and moved by the spirit of this room. So about a year ago, I was inspired to write a book, a children's book, about putting our differences aside and healing divisions. And it is a children's book, but I feel it's a story for anyone. So as the story goes, the Woogies think they have it all figured out, and the Boogies think they know best, and the two sides are very much at odds, so much so that it seems their great divide would be impossible to ever bridge. But in the end, surprisingly, and I can't give away just how it happens, they do tear down the walls that separate them and use the pieces to build a connecting bridge. And this amazing bridge also serves as a sort of community dance floor. And on that day, a fun new dance called the Woogie Boogie was invented. And so a movement started by the children created the healing miracle that everyone needed. So thanks so much to my friends at 17, the Strauss Gallery at Art Space, the Hamiltonian Magazine, and so many others. It does seem like the message of my book is really catching on. I guess you could say, to quote Kyle, all things boogie woogie licious seem to be catching on. And you could also say it's we is greater than me licious as well. So your enthusiastic support and embracing of my book and its message really means the world to me. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Ann. The message of the Boogies and the Woogies really resonates with me personally. And really it's about resonating with everybody. And I think that's resonating with many, many others as well. I really love the fact that something designed to teach children can really reinforce what we adults really already know, right? And that's that our differences can be put aside, focusing on those big issues, and instead we can really do a lot to accomplish the local good. I also love how much community partnership is a focus around the book. In fact, it's for that reason that Envision Partnerships has already purchased over 1,000 copies, and we've begun to distribute them around the county. But we're not stopping there. I'm happy to announce today that come spring, we are going to be bringing the boogies and the woogies to every Hamilton elementary school. And our students are going to get a chance to not only hear this important message by the author and illustrator Marianne Reed, but they're also going to be left with copies of the book, and we have Spanish versions in order right now. On top of that, we're going to do something pretty fun. They're going to have a chance to learn the Woogie Boogie dance and meet a real live Woogie. So, once you've been to all the schools, we have a special community event at the very first Hamilton Flea on May 13th. I hope you can join us there. We're calling it the Hamilton Family Day at the Flea. And on that day, we're going to have the bridge that once divided this city, the High Main Bridge, as our backdrop, to boogie down as a community and do the dance together. So I hope you can join us on May 13th if you won't be seeing us in the schools before then.
Funny that you should mention that now, ladies. I've seen these woogies around town before. In fact, they've been in the last 3 or 4 issues of the Hamiltonian magazine. I see those guys over there. In fact, I've even had a chance to do a little boogie with a woogie myself. You're not going to believe this, though, guys. I'm just getting a report right now. Is it true? Yes, it's confirmed. There's a live woogie in the house today, and he can't wait till May 13th to dance. He wants to do it now, but we need a little encouragement. Dave, you want to help? There's a woogie. Come on out, woogie. We're just trying to dance out these differences as a community. Get on up, folks. Come on. Let's see that boogie woogie shoes. Come on. All right, there's that woogie. We're going to dance on our differences out of community. Folks, I want to thank you for coming today. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank our friends and partners today. I can see we've got High Street Cafe. Thank you, 80 Acres. Thank you to Pawnee Water. Thank you to Marianne Reed. Thank you to the friends of 17Strong. Be sure to check them out. Thank you, Hamiltonian Magazine. And thank you all for believing in the power of We is Greater Than Me. Have a good afternoon, folks. We'll see you at the summit.